colleagues, thank you for being here today to help us launch the SNP's campaign for the Scottish Parliament election, and where we intend to make sure we elect an SNP majority government and give people the chance of a fresh start with independence. Let me start by thanking the wonderful Isa and Lauren from the Lorettes for providing us with the best possible musical start to the day. Thank you, our campaign. This will be a campaign like no other. Our campaign starts with a simple belief that Scotland deserves better, and we know that Scotland can do better. Since coming into power, we've shown exactly that. When decisions have been made in Scotland, for the people in Scotland, we've abolished tuition fees, we've got rid of prescription charges, we've introduced the Scottish Child Payment, we've expanded early education and childcare, and we have scrapped peak rail fares. This is what is possible when decisions are taken in Scotland and not imposed from a broken Westminster system. These are the choices that reflect the priorities of the people in Scotland, not the priorities of an out-of-touch elite in London. And this is why we know that Scotland's future should be shaped by Scotland. Today marks the official start of our campaign, and under the leadership of John Swinney, we will be taking our positive message of hope to as many doorsteps as possible over the next 6 weeks. Unlike the other parties fighting this election, we have a record to be proud of. We have a leader to be proud of, and we have a vision to be proud of. Friends, before I welcome our First Minister and Party Leader, there are a few people that I know we're all enjoying hearing from today. Firstly, please let me introduce the fantastic local SNP candidate, Alison Thullis.
Thank you very much, everybody. I think it's appropriate we just had a love letter to Glasgow there, and if given the full warning, I could do one of my own. I am very proud to be standing here to welcome you all to Glasgow, the greatest city in the world. Also welcome to the Citizens Theatre, a wonderful institution, and really a symbol of Glasgow's resilience, reinvented and thriving, despite so much change having taken place round about her. Despite COVID, Brexit and the Liz Truss inflation during their rebuild, they have also wonderfully reopened and having so many people through their doors. And I understand you can have a sneaky peek into the auditorium on your way out. Please do. If you've never been before, please come back and enjoy the SITs. And the team at the SITs have never stopped serving their community, and I know the community have been absolutely thrilled to come back in since the SITs reopened. I'm absolutely buzzing to be the SNP candidate for Glasgow Central, the beating heart of Scotland's social, economic and cultural life. Like all Glaswegians, though, I was watching with shock as fires tore through our city a few weeks ago. It was only for the bravery and the ingenuity of our firefighters that the flames did not spread to Central Station next door. So I would like if we could all take a moment and the opportunity this morning just to thank them again for appreciation also to the Network Rail staff, the ScotRail and the Council for getting the transport system moving safely again. How we face adversity and how we rebuild is absolutely crucial, which is why I was so glad to see our First Minister, John Swinney, stepping in with the support funds from the SNP Scottish Government to help rebuild, and importantly to give support to the small businesses, many of them small female-led businesses in our city who lost everything in the fire. It's heartening also to have seen the public step in through crowdfunders to give so much of their support. This exemplifies to me the spirit of Glasgow, coming together with hope, building for a positive future together. Friends, it's what you might expect of a city that voted yes for independence. We come here today in good heart, united under John Swinney's exceptional leadership, offering a positive vision for Scotland. The SNP are a world apart from Labour's relentless negativity about our city and our country, only fit to run Glasgow down. Friends, we are not in any way complacent. We know that we have to work hard for every single vote in this city and across Scotland. But as Alistair Gray would have it, we're working as if we're in the early days of a better nation. Thank you.
Next up we have our brilliant Westminster leader, who I very much hope to see in the Scottish Parliament in just a few weeks' time. Please welcome Stephen Flynn.
you, Angus, and good morning, everyone. 6 weeks. 6 weeks to win a majority. 6 weeks to make sure that John Swinney is returned as our First Minister. 6 weeks to kick-start the fresh start that we need with our independence. What an opportunity lies in front of us, friends. And what a contrast. What a contrast to the chaos of Keir, the division of Farage. We have the opportunity to put hope over fear. To tell people in our nation that they have politicians on their side. People who will make sure that our young people have the best start in life. Whether that's through the Scottish Child Payment, whether that's through the expanded childcare offer that we're going to offer, whether that's through the free university tuition that we operate in this nation, or whether that's saying to our young folk that they can now escape from the rent trap and have a home of their own. That's what we're about. We're about opportunity and aspiration and always putting Scotland's interests first. But we believe in so much more than that too. Unlike the other political parties fighting this election, we believe that Scotland's place lies in the heart of Europe, so that our people can live, work, learn, study across the European continent, that our economy can grow. We believe that we should have control over our own foreign policy, so when we see a genocide, we can call it a genocide. When we see an illegal war, we can make sure that we're not involved in an illegal war. And we believe that we can have, and must have, full control over our energy resources, so that we can create the jobs of tomorrow, but more important than that, make sure that the people who live in Scotland benefit from the vast energy wealth that we have to bring down their bills. Folks, all of that is possible in just 6 weeks' time if we vote for this man to become our First Minister, if we secure that majority at the Holyrood elections and we have that fresh start with independence. Let's get on and do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephen. You're doing an outstanding job showing up Keir Starmer and the Labour government for what they really are, a disappointment and an illustration of just how completely and utterly broken the Westminster system is. You're a top-class politician, and in May, Westminster's loss will be the Scottish Parliament's gain. There's one final person I'd like to introduce before we hear from the First Minister, one of the many remarkable women we are lucky to have in the SNP, one who I know inspires young women in our party and who can eviscerate the opposition with a level of class like I've never seen. Friends, please welcome to the stage, Mary McCallum.
It's an absolutely beautiful morning in Glasgow and it's wonderful to be with you. And I am so proud to have the opportunity to speak to you briefly this morning as we launch our campaign, a campaign not just about winning an election, but a campaign about going on to secure our independence. We've seen the polls, a majority is within reach, it is within touching distance. Poll after poll demonstrates that momentum is with our First Minister, John Swinney, and with our party. It shows that people are uniting behind his strong leadership and his delivery for the people of Scotland. And we know that, as well as all of that, it demonstrates that people want more. People want something bigger, better, and bolder for themselves and for their children. They want something more than the confines of this so-called union of equals that we remain in. And is that really a surprise? Starved of ambition for our country, the Westminster parties just squabble amongst themselves, devoid of ideas for Scotland, no hope for our future. We've a Scottish Labour Party that is completely tied to a broken Westminster system that's seeing living standards in our country continue to fall. A Scottish Labour Party that actually told their conference, hold your nose and vote for Labour. Well, friends, we should far rather breathe the fresh air of independence. Now, I'm standing here just prior to the First Minister speaking with you this morning. I just want to take a moment to reflect on what he has done in our party. He's a man of extraordinary experience, leadership, kindness, decency, so lacking in his opponents and those who would contend to be First Minister. And he's a leader who delivers what he says he will. He said waiting lists would come down in the NHS. They've come down for 9 months in a row. He said he would deliver GP walk-in centres in our communities. They are now popping up, and I'm delighted to have one coming to Clydesdale. And there's so much more that we intend to do. Stephen mentioned £10,000 to help our young people have that hopeful prospect of their own home. Childcare, something I can personally tell you is difficult to grapple with when you're also trying to work. This is what we will deliver for Scotland. But more than that, always more than that, because we are unlike any other political party. We are a movement, we have a cause of independence. So more than that, this is about delivering our opportunity to become an independent country. I was asked recently by a journalist, Mary, would you say that the SNP's got their confidence back? And, well, look, it got me thinking about our party and about when I first came to find the SNP as a teenager in what was, we now know, the closing days of Labour's iron grip on our communities. And it was a time when our political leaders were sending our money back to Westminster, and the most they could muster for our great nation was to call us the best wee country in the world. And for me, along came the SNP, and they said, right, Scotland, head up, shoulders back, we are no better than anybody else, but we are just as good. And we put up with this mediocrity no more. And that's our job now. Because, and I said this to the journalist, if Scotland backs the SNP, if we are fortunate enough to regain their trust as we have done before, then Scotland and our party will have its head up, will have its shoulders back, will have rejected the politics of mediocrity in Labour, and worse, the politics of hatred and division in Reform, and we will walk forward confidently and hopefully with our head up and our shoulders back. So with that, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce the man who is going to take us into that hopeful future. The First Minister of our country and the leader of our party, John Swinney.
Good morning, friends. My warmest thanks to Alison, to Stephen, to Mary and to Angus for opening our event this morning. And it's fantastic to be here in the city of Glasgow once again, a city that's been through a tough couple of weeks, as Alison has said. But just as it always does, Glasgow is bouncing back. The city has come together, Glasgow Central Station has reopened, and thanks to support from the SNP government, Glasgow will rebuild. Nothing exemplifies that more than the very building that we gather in here today. The Citizens Theatre is a remarkable asset for this city, a true hub of artistic excellence and community spirit, and it stands here as the wonderful venue we see today thanks to the hard work of its staff and as a result of more than £17 million in support over the years from the SNP government. Friends, a thriving Glasgow is central to ensuring a thriving Scotland, and the SNP will always do everything in our power to make Glasgow flourish. I'm delighted to welcome you all today to kick off a crucial election campaign for our country. And I can tell you now, over the next 6 weeks, this party is going to run the biggest and the best campaign we ever have done, and I will be leading our campaign from the front, campaigning with with you in every corner of our country, from our cities to our islands, from Shetland to Stranraer. And when I see the energy in this room, it's very clear to me that this is a party that is ready not just to fight this election, not just to win this election, but to win big and to deliver the fresh start we need that only comes with independence. Because, friends, we go to the people of Scotland this election with strengths that no other party can match. Unlike our opponents, we can stand before the people of Scotland confident in our record in government. Our NHS has turned a corner. Long waits are down, operations are rising, GP numbers are up, and walk-in GP centres open 7 days a week are opening on high streets across the country. And we're delivering the best cost of living support in the United Kingdom. The majority of people expected to pay less in tax living in Scotland because we ask the better off to pay a bit more. Peak fares gone, rail fares frozen, free tuition protected, free prescriptions guaranteed, a Scottish child payment keeping child poverty down. That is the record we are proud to take to the people at this election. That is what the SNP delivers for the people in Scotland in government. But friends, we can do something else that no other party can in this election. We can make a fundamental declaration that our opponents will never be able to match. We can look the people of Scotland in the eye and say to them with absolute honesty, this party, Scotland's party, will always, always put Scotland's interests first. That's what we've always done, and that's what we'll always do. And at this election, that means being focused on the things that matter most to the people of Scotland. It means delivering on our plan to keep improving our National Health Service. It means protecting people from the Westminster cost of living crisis in the here and now. And it means demonstrating every day of this campaign that a better future for Scotland is possible. Because people are fed up with a Westminster establishment that just does not work for them. With a Westminster system that ensures the rich get richer and the rest are left to struggle. And with that ludicrous situation, in energy-rich Scotland, we pay some of the highest energy bills in Europe. Friends, whether Westminster likes it or not, that one single fact could define this whole election campaign. That makes the case for real fundamental change. Friends, that makes the case for independence. Because people in Scotland have looked to their government for help, and the UK government has looked away. They've utterly failed in their duty to protect the people of this country. They've taken Scotland's energy wealth and given us nothing back in return when we needed it. Let me make it absolutely clear. The SNP government will never look the other way while our fellow citizens are scared to turn their heating on. So if the UK government are not prepared to bring bills down, they'd better get out of the way for a government that will use the powers to do so. Friends, people's struggles with energy bills were already serious. That was even before the reckless American and Israeli attacks on Iran. What we're seeing on our TV screens every night is devastating. And let me be clear, the UK government must not find itself being pulled into an offensive war. A war that we in Scotland do not want, that cannot be justified, and from which there is no exit strategy. We've seen this before with Labour governments. We must not see it again from another Labour government. Friends, our task every day of this campaign is to make the case for the fresh start of independence. That is why I am so optimistic, because we have a fundamentally positive vision for the future of our country. What a contrast with those that we are standing against. Nigel Farage and Reform have no interest in building Scotland's future. They only want to tear things down. We know three things about Farage: that he wants to sow division in our communities, that he wants to shut down our Parliament and cut Scotland's budget, and that he would sell off our NHS to the highest bidder the second he got near power. So let us say, loudly and clearly, our NHS will not be bought and sold for Farage's gold. The vote for the SNP is a vote to keep Nigel Farage away from power and to say that our NHS will always stay in public hands. And friends, we know exactly what we'll get from the Labour Party. We know what Labour are going to do in this campaign because we've heard it all before. Keir Starmer promised Scotland the world 2 years ago, and they've not even tried to keep their promises. Winter fuel payments, the tax on jobs, Grangemouth closed, North Sea jobs lost. That is what Labour means for Scotland. We already have one disastrous Labour government. We don't need another one. Friends, Keir Starmer has done us a favour, because the abject failure of Keir Starmer's government has shown us once and for all that Westminster simply will never work for Scotland. It's not about which Prime Minister is in Downing Street. It is about a whole rotten system that is built to look after a privileged few and not for ordinary people. Well, this election is our chance to send a message that the Westminster establishment cannot sweep under the carpet, and to tell them loudly and clearly that the future of Scotland will be decided by the people of Scotland. Friends, we know what we have to do in this election. And though it will not be easy, ours is a party that is built on ambition. And that's how we're going to approach this campaign. We can deliver an SNP government, one that keeps on making our NHS better, a government that delivers more support with the cost of living, that extends support for childcare to every family in Scotland, which helps first-time buyers with £10,000 towards a deposit, and a government that always puts Scotland first. But we can do more than that. If we win big, if we persuade enough of our fellow citizens to put their faith in us, we can achieve a historic majority that will deliver so much more. Because an SNP majority does two things. It unlocks the potential for truly transformational change with independence. And it locks Nigel Farage out of any influence in Scotland's Parliament. That is the goal we are setting ourselves today, and that is the outcome I intend to deliver for the people of Scotland. Because be in no doubt, depending on how the numbers stack up after the election, without an SNP majority, there is always the potential for a grubby, backroom deal between Labour and Reform. So let us resolve today that we will take them on, we will defeat them, we will make sure that Nigel Farage is locked out of power, and we will make sure that Scotland's future is in Scotland's hands. And the SNP majority will deliver for us the greatest prize, the right for Scotland to decide our own future in a referendum. It happened in 2011, and I'm determined that it will happen again in 2026, because the case for independence has never been greater. Food prices, energy bills, Brexit, Trident, a Westminster system in complete chaos. People are crying out for real change, for a fresh start, and that is what we will deliver. That is what you get when you vote SNP in this election. The SNP is clear in what we are offering the people at this election. But friends, I want to be just as clear about what I am offering, about why people should put their trust in me as their First Minister. I want people in Scotland to know exactly what they're getting with me, because these are serious times and they demand serious leadership. I've spent my entire adult life in the service of this country. I know how to get things done. If I'm re-elected as your First Minister, I will give everything I have to make this country a better place for everyone who lives here. I will stand against those who seek to divide us. I will use every bit of my experience to deliver on the promises I make, and I will give every fibre of my being to always standing up for Scotland, because like you, I care about and I love Scotland. That is who I am. It is who I have always been, and that is who I will be if you put your faith in me as your First Minister. I will work night and day over this campaign to earn and re-earn your trust and deliver on your priorities. So on May the 7th, vote SNP for strong, experienced leadership. Vote SNP to improve our NHS. Vote SNP for more help with the cost of living, and vote SNP for the fresh start of independence, because this election is Scotland's great opportunity. We are standing on the verge of a truly historic moment, but it will only happen if we work for it and if people vote for it. So together, let's get out there and make it happen. Thank you very much.